So pivoting is basically saying along the way, things are going to go wrong, things are going to change, and you're going to have to change as a result or you'll die. We created the first site on the internet where people were basically putting up pictures for no reason at all except to be exhibitionists. When we came up with the site, the first name was actually going to be canyoutakeit.net or something stupid like that. We looked at amihot.com, there was nothing there, but it was taken. And finally we were like, okay, let's be Am I Hot or Not? We thought it might be viral, but we didn't really know until the day that I saw my dad using the site. I was looking at it and my dad walks into the room. He's like, hey, what's that? You have to understand, I was supposed to at this point like be getting a job or something, right? So I didn't tell him that this was something that Jim and I were building. I just said, oh, it's something Jim's working on. He's like, oh, what is it? And so I kind of showed him like, yeah, you like rate them. So he's like, oh, let me try, So he took the mouse and he started rating. He's like, oh, she's not hot. And, oh, this one's hot, and it was bizarre because basically the first person I ever saw get addicted to rating people on whether they were hot or not was my dad. You have to understand that my dad is like this, 60-year-old Asian engineer PhD guy who, as far as I was concerned, was asexual except maybe 3 times in his life when he had me, my brother, and my sister. And so we launched the site, it quickly took off. That first week, Howard Stern was talking about it, but apparently he had abbreviated it as Am I Hot? And lo and behold, 2 days later or something, we go to amihot.com and there's a site up. They sent us a cease and desist, and we were in debt. I didn't have money for lawyers. So that was definitely a pivot that we had to deal with, like changing the name and dealing with the rebrand. We could easily have lost all our users and all of our brand equity that we were building up. When the site took off, it went viral. We launched it by sending an email to 42 of my friends, and we had 40,000 unique IP addresses come that day, and it was still growing after that. We were doing like 1.8 million page views a day. We knew that the bandwidth costs like $150,000 a year, and we're doubling like every 2 hours or something like that. So we told people, hey, instead of giving us a picture, why don't you put the picture on Yahoo and then give us a URL and we'll just use that. Because Yahoo was running this service called GeoCities, which was like a blog homepage type of thing. I was like, hey, we should just upload all our pictures up there and let them pay the bill. That solved the bill problem for a while, but we knew that even our servers just serving the web pages was growing crazily. So we did the next logical thing, which was pack the server and we drove it over to Berkeley, to where my partner Jim Young was a grad student. I remember us sticking it under his desk and then piling up a bunch of books in front of it so no one would notice it. When we were told to get out of Berkeley, we ended up calling this company called Rackspace, and I basically said, hey, we got this thing, it's blowing up like crazy. We have no money, we need servers. Do you think you can help us out? To my surprise, they said, yeah, let's do it. Just scale the thing, get big, don't worry about it. What we realized very quickly was the only way that this website would survive is if it could somehow make money, and the only way to make money on the web back in those days was through advertisements. We called the founder of this company DoubleClick. He said, listen, if you want to get money from advertising networks, you basically have to be able to guarantee that none of your pictures are going to be pornographic. I told Jim this and said, hey, we need an interface where basically I can like go through all the pictures and pull out all the porn. But I was busy doing other things at the same time, so I said, well, hey, my parents just retired. They had nothing to do for much of the day, so I said, hey, you want to help me out? And they said, yeah, sure. So they did it. They were going through literally thousands of pictures each day. And a couple days later, I called them and said, hey, how's it going? They said, oh yeah, it's fun. It's fun to look at people. And mom saw pictures today of like 2 girls and a guy doing this and that. And I'm like, whoa, like, I'm like, hey, Jim, we can't have my parents looking at porn all day. I guess in a way, we pivoted. When you pivot in basketball, you're trying to go in one direction and, you have a defender right in front of you. So instead, you pivot and you shift the whole gameplay into a different direction. And you're changing everything, but you're still leveraging what you have, which is your team. We basically said, hey, we have all these users. Why don't we see if we can enlist some of them to become moderators? And so that was how we kind of basically got rid of the porn on the site. Unbeknownst to us, along the way, we had solved all these other problems where we had evolved the site into a dating service. In the beginning, people were posting their pictures. Other people would see the picture and they would right-click and follow the address. They would say, oh, this is from Yahoo GeoCities user account Tina. So then they would go to Tina, track her down, and meet her. And then it ended up being the monetization pivot as well. We really were thinking, like, how are we gonna make money when actually the thing that we ended up making money on, we had already built, and it just hadn't occurred to us that, hey, maybe we should charge for that. So we decided basically that it should cost the same amount as 2 beers would cost in a random bar in the Midwest. So we charged $6. But I mean, I think anyone who has a company that's successful that tells you, oh yeah, you know, like what I wrote on the business plan or whatever I thought on day one is exactly what happened, he's full of shit.